Welcome back to my channel. On tonight's episode, malicious compliance. My boss wanted me to stick to the rules. So I did exactly that. Here we go. Original post. Hey Reddit, buckle up because this one's a doozy. I work at a mid-sized company in the accounting department. My boss, let's call him Carl, is a by-the-book type of guy. So much so that it borders on the ridiculous. He's always going on about how we need to follow every single rule to the letter, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. So, one day, Carl catches me using a different brand of sticky notes than the one the company provides. He pulls me into his office and gives me a lecture about how important it is to use company-approved supplies. I mean, really? Sticky notes? But whatever. I nod along and promise to use the correct sticky notes from now on. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and Carl sends out an email reminding everyone of our strict 9 a.m. start time. He insists that everyone be at their desks, logged in, and ready to go by 9 o'clock on the dot. If anyone was even a minute late, they'd have to stay an extra hour after work. He emphasized that this was a non-negotiable company rule. Now, here's where things get interesting. Our office building has an old security system that logs entry times with a keycard swipe. These logs are very precise. I noticed that Carl, Mr. Stick to the Rules himself, was often a few minutes late. One day it was 9:03, another day 9:07. So, I started keeping track. I decided to have a bit of fun. I compiled all the times Carl was late over a month and anonymously sent the data to our HR department. Copying Carl on the email, I included a note about how important it is for everyone to follow the rules, especially those in leadership positions. The fallout was more than I expected. Update 1. Hey everyone, thanks for all the support and upvotes. I didn't expect my story to blow up like this. So, here's what happened after I sent the email. Carl was furious. He stormed into the office the next day, face redder than a tomato, demanding to know who sent the email. Of course, no one admitted to it. HR scheduled a meeting with Carl to discuss the allegations. Their word, not mine, and the importance of setting a good example. Apparently, Carl tried to argue that he had legitimate reasons for being late those days. Traffic, emergencies, etc., but HR wasn't having it. They pointed out that the rules were clear and that everyone else managed to get to work on time. Despite similar challenges, they warned him that any further infractions would result in disciplinary action. Carl was livid but had to swallow his pride. For the next few weeks, he made a point of arriving at the office super early, way before anyone else. It was hilarious seeing him try to outdo himself every day, just to prove a point. Update 2. Just when I thought things had settled down, Carl found a way to retaliate. He started micromanaging me to an absurd degree. Every little task I did was scrutinized. If my report was off by even a tiny margin, he'd call me into his office for a discussion. He'd CC the entire team on emails pointing out minor errors in my work, trying to make me look incompetent. I knew I had to come up with something to counter his pettiness. So, I decided to go above and beyond with my compliance. I began following every rule and procedure to the absolute letter, no matter how nonsensical or inefficient it was. For example, we had a rule that all expense reports had to be submitted in triplicate. Most of us just submitted them online, but I started printing out 2 extra copies and hand-delivering them to Carl's office. Another time, I followed our dress code to an extreme. The dress code stated business attire, so I started wearing a full suit and tie every day. Even though our office was pretty casual, people started noticing and asking why I was dressed so formally. I'd just smile and say, just following the rules. It drove Carl nuts. He couldn't call me out on anything because I was technically doing everything by the book. The rest of the team thought it was hilarious and started doing the same thing. We all became overly compliant, and Carl couldn't handle it. He was seething but had no grounds to reprimand us. Update 3. Things took a surprising turn when the company's upper management got wind of what was happening. They were not amused by the petty office politics and the way Carl was handling things. An internal review was launched to investigate the work environment and management practices. During the review, several of my colleagues spoke up about Carl's unreasonable demands and micromanagement. It turned out I wasn't the only one who had issues with him. People from different departments came forward with their stories, painting a picture of a toxic work culture under Carl's leadership. The HR team conducted interviews and collected evidence. Carl, of course, tried to defend himself, claiming that he was just enforcing company policies. But the sheer number of complaints and the ridiculousness of some of the rules he was enforcing didn't help his case. A few weeks later, we got the news that Carl was being reassigned to a different department. It was a demotion in everything but name. He lost his managerial status and was given a role where he had little to no authority over others. Update 4. With Carl out of the picture, our office environment improved dramatically. Morale was at an all-time high, and productivity increased. It was amazing how much of a difference it made not having someone breathing down our necks over every little thing. The company also decided to revise some of the more absurd rules that Carl had been so adamant about enforcing. The 9 a.m. start time was relaxed to allow a 10-minute grace period, and the strict dress code was modified to something more reasonable. I was eventually approached by upper management and thanked for bringing the issue to light. Albeit anonymously, they appreciated the way I handled the situation without resorting to direct confrontation or unprofessional behavior. Final update. Hey everyone, it's been a wild ride, but I wanted to give you one last update on how things have turned out. After Carl was reassigned, I noticed a significant change in the overall atmosphere at work. People were more relaxed and willing to collaborate. The new manager, let's call her Sarah, was a breath of fresh air. She valued input from the team and encouraged us to find efficient ways to get our work done, rather than sticking to outdated rules for the sake of it. One day, Sarah called me into her office. I was a bit nervous, thinking maybe I was in trouble for something. But to my surprise, she wanted to thank me personally for my role in improving the work environment. She said she knew it was me who sent the anonymous email to HR. I guess I wasn't as sneaky as I thought. Sarah told me she admired my courage and resourcefulness. Then she dropped a bombshell. She was offering me a promotion. I'd be moving up to a senior position with more responsibilities and, of course, a nice pay raise. I couldn't believe it. So, here I am now, in my new role, with a much better work environment and a supportive boss. It's funny how things turned out. Sometimes, sticking to the rules can work in your favor, especially when those rules are used to expose the flaws in a broken system. Thanks to everyone on Reddit for your support and advice. This community helped me navigate a tough situation, and I'm grateful for all the encouragement. Here's to hoping I never have to deal with another Carl again. Thank you so much for watching. Curating these posts takes a long time. I upload 5 times a day, and I only ever upload complete Reddit stories. Drop a like, comment what you think, and please subscribe. Until our next time, cheers.